Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Inside IUE Sports. I'm Isaiah Hoffman, and today I've got a very special guest with us. I have the assistant coach for the women's basketball team, Nicole Foster. How are you doing today, Coach?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. We're just going to get straight into it, Coach. Let's just start off, for everyone to get to know you. Where'd you grow up, and what sports did you play growing up?
All right, so I'm originally from Northwest Ohio. Basically lived and died on the basketball floor my whole life.
Okay.
My dad was a varsity basketball coach growing up. He did a little bit of boys and then went into girls. And then he started coaching me in AAU, and I started seeing what that was like from a coach's perspective, the nightmares and the dreams. And that kind of gave me an inkling that coaching would be fun. But it wasn't until I was in college at Florida Gulf Coast University. I was a manager for them. A really, really good program, a really good coaching staff. And I was a junior there when COVID set in, and it kind of hit me that maybe pre-med wasn't my path, maybe coaching was. And so that kind of got me into it. Knew basketball was my passion the whole time, and I really wanted to help kids. And so instead of going and being a pediatrician, I decided to be a basketball coach. It'd be more fun. It would cost a lot less money to start. So.
How was those first years of coaching under your dad? Learning kind of trying to create your own thing while also learning from your dad as well. How were those years beneficial to, the other years you had going forward and even when you got here? Yeah.
So my first year coaching with my dad, I was a senior in high school, and I actually was helping coach the team that I played on. So a lot of kids that I actually played with. And to be completely honest, I was not a great basketball player. I couldn't move super well. I could hit a three. I had ice in my veins from the three-point line.
So catch and shoot?
Pretty much, okay. Yeah. If I dribbled the ball, it was probably a turnover. So I would catch it and I would shoot it. I could shoot it about 6 feet behind the line, so that was good with height too. But then turning around and coaching the kids that I played with when they knew that I wasn't the best kid on the team, I was super nervous, but they knew that I had the basketball brain.
The IQ.
Yeah, and so they had respect for me from the beginning. So that kind of helped me because even today, the kids that I'm coaching, they're not that much younger than me. Some of them are almost my age. Some of them have significant others that are my age or older. So walking in, I kind of knew that as long as I showed them that I had the basketball IQ and I knew what I was talking about and I backed that up, I knew that I'd be okay. So that kind of gave me some confidence walking into the door, knowing that as long as I could prove to them that I knew what I was talking about and that I deserved the position and that I put in the work to earn it, that they would respect me. And I think they've done a good job with that so far. They've given me a lot of respect, and they've also given me a lot of crap, which is okay.
So I think I get what you're saying because I played basketball for a long time too, and I think it was more of me not going out there and putting in the work sometimes outside of practice. I'd go to practice and give a full 100%, but it was kind of what was I doing besides that? And even then, I think broadcasting was something else I also really wanted to do. So I guess I'll ask you this: when did you realize it was time to maybe make the switch from being a player to, still wanting to stay involved in sports as well?
So my switch from being a player to being a coach was not smooth. I was actually a junior on JV, goes back to I wasn't the greatest player, but I just wanted to play. And there were some underclassmen that were a lot better than me in high school. And so they played varsity, and that was great. That's what the team needed. And I was a junior on JV, so I had a bunch of freshmen that I was playing with.
Okay.
And it was a first-year coach in at the time. And so I was just coaching from the floor. I mean, the coach was coaching, but you still have to have a floor leader. And it was kind of odd because I was not a point guard, but I was kind of our floor leader. And I went to a school, our colors were blue and white, but I always wore purple shoes. And so I became Coach Purple Shoes to our JV coach, and kind of helped him a little bit in a sense that he knew that he had somebody he could rely on the floor, which as a coach is great, especially in your first year as I'm learning. But that kind of put it in the back of my head, I guess. And then as I continued to help my dad and then being at FGCU and being with the coaching staff there, I just realized that my happy place was being in a gym. And so I went 2 years after I graduated from FGCU and I got my master's degree. And my master's actually in coaching education. And so those 2 years I wasn't actually in a gym coaching actively. I was going to FGCU games and traveling across the country, going to as many games as I could, but I wasn't actively coaching, and it was probably the most miserable 2 years of my life. I didn't actually get to touch a basketball. And while my role on the court, being in my first year, isn't super active, like you said, I do a lot more outside, I feel like. I think all of that kind of built up to that. It taught me that I want to be on a floor somewhere coaching. And it just kind of pushed me once I got close to graduation. I was like, I have to find somewhere. I don't care where it is. I have to find somewhere and get my foot in the door. So that kind of is what led me here.
So when you did those traveling for those 2 years, I guess the question I want to ask is, what did you learn the most out of those 2 years? Was there someone that helped you that was a big inspiration in, helping figure things out?
Yeah. Dad's always an inspiration. And
of course.
Let's just say it was his wallet that took us across the country. So huge shout out to him for that. He was super excited when I switched from pre-med to coaching because it was something he understood.
Yeah.
He's not big in science, so he was super excited that it was something that he could talk to me about and relate to. So he kind of took me across the country. We went to FGCU games anytime we could. But I maintained a relationship with FGCU coaching staff. And I was able to help. I would walk into the gym when they were at shoot around or at practice and observe. Every once in a while I would get to help pick up and kind of clean up after practice. I tried to stay connected. It wasn't anything official. It was just me kind of being that annoying person that wouldn't leave. And I had some friends on the team. I still have some friends on the team. So it was nice to just kind of see them. And just staying in the gym, I was learning all these things through my classes that I couldn't necessarily apply because I wasn't actively coaching, but I could go in a gym and see how the coaches were using them. And so staying in touch with them and asking them questions as I did homework assignments and as I worked on projects and papers, they've been a huge help with everything. Just went to one of their games this week and still have that connection with the coaches. They're still answering questions for me, and they probably will for many more years.
Gotcha. So let's get into, I guess, the present day now. Coming to IU East, how did that relationship with Coach Wellborn develop, and how did you hear about the job opportunity?
So quite honestly, I went online and searched job opportunities by state.
Okay.
So I started with Florida because I really don't like the cold. Started with
Understandable.
Florida and kind of panned out from there. And then I started with Ohio with having the tie to my parents and panned out. And I saw this opportunity and I was like, it's close enough. I can still drive home, be with my family on the weekends before season starts. Got to spend a lot of time with them. But just coming back to being at IU East, when I met Coach Wellborn on video chat the first time on interview, I just felt like we clicked. We had the same ideas. I asked her what her coaching philosophy was, and it kind of hit mine to a T. And that's a huge part in coaching, especially in your first year. You want to find somewhere that at least is somewhat close to your coaching philosophy because your philosophy is going to change as you go. But you want somebody who has the same beliefs that you do so that you guys align and click from the beginning. And so when she talked about her philosophy and how close it was to mine, I knew it would be a really good fit. Other places that I interviewed, it wasn't necessarily the best fit, but it felt like a really good fit with her. And then when I met her in person, it just felt like we clicked. We had a good relationship, and that's a huge part of it, especially since it's just us two.
Yeah, I gotcha. And then looking at, I guess, the team as well. When you first met the team, how is that, as the assistant coach coming in, being new? It can be an adjustment for not only, Wellborn yourself, but also the players as well.
So it was kind of odd. I'm a different personality. I can be blunt, but I also try to find humor in everything. I'm a very happy-go-lucky person. I'm laid back. I really should have been born in Florida. I really live to that lifestyle. The girls joke around because I'm always in shorts and sandals. Live that lifestyle to the fullest. And so meeting them, I was a little nervous because I'm a 24-year-old girl, and so we think about these things too much. And they're so close to my age, but I think that also helped, being so close to their age. I came in, I still think like a player sometimes, even though it's been a while since I played. I still have that same mentality, so I feel like we had a connection because I kind of knew what their thought process was from the beginning, and I was able to kind of prove to them, like I said before, that I knew what I was talking about basketball-wise. I think it was a pretty smooth transition for everyone. A lot going on between Coach and I, making sure that I was settling in, first collegiate coaching position, so she had a lot to teach me from that standpoint. But as far as settling in with the girls, I think it was a pretty smooth transition.
And then looking at this season, for you, for your first year here as the assistant coach, is there things you've learned, maybe have taken out of your game, added into it? What has been, I guess, kind of your thoughts throughout this season for you personally?
Yeah. So this season's been a huge whirlwind. We've had a lot of highs and a lot of lows. The girls have been really good at handling whatever has been thrown at them. Some things I learned is just how to be more vocal and to be more, put myself out there more during practices. I'm coming from practices where FGCU, I obviously didn't coach anything. I was a rebounder or somebody to help in a drill. But with my dad, he would come up with a drill and I would just help make sure things were done right. So taking a more active role in deciding we need to do this in practice, we need to do this in practice. And then some things that like didn't really know how to watch film the right way, didn't know how to scout. I can sit at a basketball game and analyze it all I want, but going through and making sure I'm looking for the right things when I'm doing a scouting report for the other team, I feel like I picked it up pretty quickly, but I'm still learning as I find things, still learning different things that I should have looked for. Obviously the other night we lost in that last 0.8 of a second. Something that I didn't see coming, should have saw coming. So I'll probably beat myself up for that one for a little while. But just a lot of things like that, little things that you learn throughout the season, missed opportunities or opportunities that we seized. So,
is there anything, I guess, that you've enjoyed a lot? I know for some of the players, it's the traveling. You know, there's a lot of beautiful places that you guys see on the road. I know there's a place in Pittsburgh for the soccer team that they enjoy. So for you as a coach, your first year, you know, being able to experience, you know, home games, you know, some away games, is there any positives just, you know, from traveling that you have enjoyed personally?
From traveling, it's been fun. We've had a couple trips where we found out kind of last minute that we were going to be taking Suburbans instead of a bus. So getting to drive, that's been pretty fun because you get to know the girls in your car a little bit more. Personally, don't love traveling in a team setting myself. It's just a lot when you become the coach and being so close to their age. It's a lot of responsibility for me. So learning that, and I'm a responsible person, but now you're telling me I'm responsible for a bunch of kids that are close to my age. But they've been really good, and just getting to know them on a more personal level and understanding why they are the way they are, why they say the things they say. I think it's been really good to connect with them, and that connection translates to the floor. I can joke with them a little bit more. I can say things and they're not going to take it to heart. Know which ones I can say what to. So that's been helpful from traveling.
Gotcha. Coach, thank you for joining me for this interview. I very much appreciate it. And that is going to do it for this portion, but don't go anywhere, folks. We got more coming up on Inside IU Esports.
Let's shine by seeing the best in all of us and by looking out for everyone's well-being. Let's shine by staying true to ourselves while surging toward the future. Let's shine with the best care possible and by treating you here, right in your hometown. Let's look out for each other. Let's stay healthy. Let's shine together.
A spark, an invitation into the world of the unknown. It moves us to change, to grow. It asks us to dream bigger. An idea idea is better shared. It ignites us, and we make each other bright. We can do great things together.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Inside IUE Sports. Once again, I am Isaiah Hoffman, your voice of the Red Wolves, and I am now joined by the videographer for IU East. I'm here with Julian. How you doing today, Julian?
Good. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty good. Julian, we just going to get right into it. You know, some people that watch this interview, they may know who you were. You know, you did play at IU East for a good amount of time. But before that, kind of talk about where you grew up, your experience in sports, what sports you played, and ultimately why basketball was the choice.
So I'm from Chicago originally. I went to high school there and graduated in 2013. So during that time, I played basketball and football. Struggled in the classroom a little bit, so basketball.
I think we all did back then. So.
So basketball was my passion, but I was actually really good at football. But I stuck with basketball, and ended up getting a scholarship to play at a junior college in North Dakota for a couple years, and did that and transferred a few times and ended up at IU East as my home. So there was a lot of different obstacles along the way, but ended up here for sure.
I got you. When you look back at high school, your passion was basketball, but you were also good at football. Was there a difference? Was there a reason why you liked basketball more, or is it just a matter of this is what I'm better at? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly played basketball longer. Football was something I picked up my sophomore year of high school, and I just adapted to it quicker. I was really good at it. I just didn't like it. I didn't like getting hit and everything, but I was able to translate and use that skill on the basketball court. And so I was able to get more physical and got stronger and more athletic just because of what football did for myself. And so it helped out in the long run.
For basketball, was there any growth spurt through there where you had to maybe change positions in high school?
Yeah, a little bit. So I think I was the big.
Yeah.
All 4 years.
And that's what I assumed. I was like, how was that adjustment? Because I know, going from being the big in high school to a forward probably in college. I know. So how was it being the big in high school, kind of, I guess, having to probably learn a new game coming from middle school, probably?
Yeah. I think I was always bigger than everybody. I never hit like a growth spurt. I was just always big. It was huge. And so I always played the 5. And, once I got to college, I had to learn how to stretch that out more, work on ball handling and my shooting ability. I just didn't do any of that stuff in high school. I was 15 and 8 average, 15 points, 8 rebounds. And so I wasn't trying to shoot the 3. I was inside. I was bigger than everybody. So once I got to college, I was able to make that adjustment. But also, I got injured a lot, and I never was hurt. So it was a lot of adjusting in college. You know what I mean? So
during high school, was there any success for you? Maybe personally wise or team success wise for football and basketball?
Football, we were pretty successful my sophomore year. I think we went undefeated, honestly. And then junior year, basketball, we were pretty solid. And then my senior year, we were not that good. We had a lot of young guys. It was only 2 seniors, myself and my friend Sebastian. So we weren't that good. It wasn't that good, I'll put it that way. But we got the job done at certain times, and we were able to capitalize on it. And then I want to say at the end of the season, I was really sick. So it was a struggle, honestly.
I got you. When you got to college, I guess we can kind of move into when you first got to IU East. Can you talk about, I guess, the transfer process and what was the interest in IU East?
Yeah. So long story short, I went to a junior college for 2 years, like I mentioned. Graduated with that and went to St. Francis in Fort Wayne, Indiana for a semester.
Okay. I got you.
Got hurt again, and so lost my scholarship. I went back home, went to school in Chicago, just part-time to get my credits in order. And then I met Charles Peterson. He's actually from Connersville. He went to St. Francis with me. And so when I left, we still stayed in contact. And he came to Chicago for, I think it was a church league. And we played. He said, "Man, are you still playing?" I said, "No, I'm not. I'm still trying to get this money to get these transcripts." So he's like, "Man, well, you need to, talk to my coach at IU East. We're pretty good. We went to the national tournament. We're returning guys, and we're looking for another big." I said, "Okay, well, I'll take that with a grain of salt." Right? And so he got us in contact, and it was love ever since. I think the first time we spoke, he gave me a day for a visit, I told them I got into a car accident the day before the visit, so I couldn't drive down there, and they came and got me. So
Hester did?
Yeah, so the
somebody
the
got
assistant
you.
at the time, Coach Dickman, he came and got me. So drove 4 hours to Chicago, drove four hours back, and then did the same thing to drop me off. And so I liked the school. You know, I had a great time here on the visit, played with the guys, and then you know, I was like, I'm coming here. I think this is where I'm wanted. I feel fit, family oriented area. So I was like, let's do it. And so he came and got me again to move everything, and I've been here ever since 2017.
And you obviously had to adjust your play style, you know, being a big man to being a forward, but you probably learned that, you know, the 2 years before you got here.
Right.
And
right.
obviously, you know, looking at your current job now, being the videographer for IU East, was there any, you know, times in maybe college, high school where you maybe saw someone doing that and you had interest in it? Because it's always been prominent, but I think when you go to high school games now, you see so many students wanting to be videographers or taking photos and stuff like that. I feel like it's very prominent more now than it was probably when you were playing in college and high school.
Yeah, it's crazy to say that. So I think it was actually the opposite. We didn't have that.
Okay.
And so we had a few individuals who came to, you know, a certain amount of games that took pictures, but it wasn't every game. And, you know, during the time when I played here, we were really successful. I mean, went to the national tournament, Final Four, Elite Eight, ranked number 1 or 2 in the country at the time. But I felt like there was a disconnect between IU East and Richmond. And Richmond did not know anything about IU East. And a lot of IU East guys didn't know too much about Richmond either.
Yeah.
So played both sides, and we were so successful. One day I was on Instagram, and I was with Jalen McKay, my teammate, and Amanda Vance, who's in admissions now. I was in her office, and I said, I think it was Syracuse or Clemson I was looking at on Instagram. I said, their Instagram is so active, and they suck. I'm like, but we're good, and we don't have that. Like, how do we get that? I'm like, man, I really want to start it, but I can't. I'm playing ball. I want to graduate classes. I couldn't put all that on my plate. So when COVID hit, because this is during COVID, February before COVID, but then COVID hit, and then, you know, everybody went home. I stayed here locally, and that's when I just kind of took it all in and, you know, learned about cameras. And this is the first time, don't tell anybody this is the first time I was in the zone on my laptop taking notes. All my years in college, I never did that. This time, sitting here learning about these cameras and, you know, what camera does what and how to do this, I'm like taking notes all night from like 8 p.m. to 8 a.m., like no sleep. And so I was so interested, that's how I knew it was a passion.
I gotcha. So when you look at, I guess, because, I mean, we've even talked, you know, when I first got here last year, I think that was the same thing for me too, is how can we make it more active on social media? So how did you get the position, and kind of what was, I guess, the expectation when you met for the position from the school, but also for yourself? And, you know, I guess for the students now that are maybe interested in doing it, what is the vision you kind of have?
Well, for myself, you know, with my business, I was able to do a lot of different things, meet a lot of different people since 2020 until now. And so different accolades and things like that. And so, you know, I always came back here to do my work. I was always on campus. And I believe Jason Troutwine was the first person to kind of give me opportunities on campus as far as contract work. And I always said I wanted to do things here because I just had these different ideas, these visions that I thought would make IU East not necessarily better, but put them at a point where they're succeeding and they're improving more, right? And so we recently got a new chancellor, and he came into admissions. At the time I was working doing some editing in admissions, and he walks in, he's talking to different people. Oh, that's a cool guy. I said, you know, I like him. And so he's from Chicago as well, where I'm from, 2 different sides of town, so I really don't like him that much. But when he left, I said, you know, I want to talk to him because I want to put this on his radar. You know, I'm an alum here. You know, I come back even though I graduated. What can I do to get involved? And so I talked to him and told him what I do, and just went to his office and just had a conversation with him and just let him know the things that I want to accomplish, the things that the passions that I have on how it can impact IU East and what I've done in other communities. And, you know, basically kind of pitched the job to him, and he loved it. He loved it. So October was my first day getting hired, and there's a lot of different things that I want to do to help, not just video, but just IU East in general as a community, and how we can, you know, help these students interact with Richmond, how we can get Richmond to interact with IU East, help, enrollment, retention, all those things. I have like just a bottle of things in my mind, but videography, yes, is my passion, but I want to be able to use my entire skill set with students like yourself and everybody. So it's just really just to help.
I got you. And then, looking at the now, what can people notice about maybe even the social media or what you're doing now that is making a difference for not only the school but also for the athletes as well? Because that was also a conversation we had, to make, recruitment, more, I guess, valuable or maybe notable, I guess. So what are the changes we are seeing right now?
Well, yeah, so my team over in External Affairs, we work really, really hard together. And we all even team up with athletics to help try to figure out things as far as consistency. Like that's the thing. I mean, beforehand, it was pretty inconsistent. Different names, different titles, different pictures.
And by titles, you mean like the social media,
social media handles and things like
yeah.
that. Red Wolves or IU or IU East, IUE, it was just all just different. Nothing wrong with that, but I think as far as a school standpoint and how to get kids to just find one thing and funnel from there, we need consistency. So we were able to come up with different ideas to make all the Instagram profile pictures look consistent, the names look consistent, and things like that. So that's a starting point. And we have a lot of things in store as well, but we're just taking it step by step.
I gotcha. And then last but not least, Julian, what are some of the upcoming things that, maybe students can look forward to? And if they do want to get involved with working in the social media, is there a way they can go to, I guess, sign up or maybe be a part of it?
Yeah. So we actually just put together a committee of individuals who are really interested in social media. Us being a smaller school, we really can't just hire a person for everything.
Yeah.
So getting a committee together with students who are student-driven and who have different ideas about what we can do to help social media, whether it's IU East Athletics, anything within that, just ideas that students can just give us. And so you can email me for sure, shortjj@iu.edu, and then we can go from there. But just having students being able to have access and help and learn, that's the big goal for myself and everybody else.
All right, gotcha. Julian, thank you for joining me for this interview that is going to do it. And that is going to do it for this episode. So thank you all for watching, and we'll see you guys next time on another episode of Inside IU Esports.